I love it.
Oh, I just have to say, agree.
Okay, so it tells me that we're live on Facebook.
Yep, I just got a notification.
Excellent. We like that when it works. Good morning, sisters. Welcome. We are here today with the beautiful Kirsten. We are going to be speaking into her passion and her business around healing the inner child, the wounding that can so often happen to us in our early years in life, and how I feel it's our responsibility to take that healing on and to dive deep into the cycles of the past, to unearth and to enliven new ways of being in contribution, not just to the planet and the evolution, but to our family systems, our family lines, our communities, our families, our children, you name it. It's so interconnected. And I'm so passionate about speaking really loud about this. Like, it's really, really important that we take this on. We have this opportunity, especially in this time and space when there are so many people awakening, and we've just had that conversation. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it is, but it is so happening. And there are so many people willing in this time and space to step into leadership and to pave a way forward that people can choose this. And that's what we're here to talk about today. Thank you so much for being here, beautiful woman. I love that we have connected and started to in this beautiful relationship. And I would love, yes, I would love to hear a little bit about your story, like your journey, what has led you. And this is always the golden thread, right? The things that happen to us or for us, depending on our perspective.
Right. I like for us.
I like for us too. Absolutely.
More empowering.
Yeah, that's it. And it's a choice, right? We can choose to look at it through those two different lenses.
The acceptance lens. Yep.
Yeah. Beautiful. Love it. The acceptance lens, and coming to that deeper acceptance. Yes, this event or this whatever may have happened to me, but what am I going to take from it to then empower myself and to start living and leading a life that's aligned with how I want to feel. So I'd love for you to share and speak into your journey.
Yeah,
darling.
You started out by saying something about the inner child, and I have these cute little dolls next to me that my friend and mentor Monique got me from Ecuador. So you can actually, I would be happy to get them for anyone. What you do, like in my, therapy business, and sometimes in my coaching business, what I'll do is I'll have my clients really love up their inner child, so they can, carry one of these dolls around, or they can take a picture of their child and put it on their screensaver, or just meditate and just be with their child. So wanted to share that.
So important. I feel like sometimes that that's the beginning for me. Like, I know for myself, that was the first place I needed to start. So I love that you have that tangible tool of the doll and the invitation to really cultivate more connection with that inner child.
Yeah. And sometimes it can be, usually I don't have any, I have a necklace on, but I wear a lot of stones and I have stones all over. So sometimes just having a stone that reminds us of our inner child and just being able to look at it and hold it and be with it. So anyway, so about my story. So I guess this question is twofold, because I started out, I still am a therapist by trade. So I guess what originally drew me to healing work was I was very young. I was 3. And I went through something very traumatic that really shaped a lot of the things in my life that happened for me. And I went to a play therapist at this agency, and I just felt so safe and so at peace with her. And I don't remember what we did. I was only 3 years old, but I just remember the feeling. And so I remember around 5, someone asking me, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, a counselor. So that's, what I did. So I've been a counselor for 10 years. And I stepped into the coaching space. I started working with a great coach who I'm still working with about 3 months ago. And I started implementing what she was teaching me around 2.5. So I'm still very new, but what I like about coaching is that I can take a lot of things from my therapy business and bring that into coaching. So there's a lot of things that are similar, and there's a lot of things that I have to learn that are completely different than therapy. And what I like about coaching is that I can, I've chosen a niche, and I feel like my coaching clients are very committed to change around, improving intimacy in their relationships. And they have the awareness of that there is a connection with their family system. And I'm very goal oriented. You and I were just talking about masculine energy, so that's definitely a masculine part. But my clients like it, so it serves me. So I really like with coaching clients, I can get to a place that I can help them get to a place that they want to be a lot more quickly than with therapy clients sometimes. And I also think like their why or their reason for healing could be bigger, so.
Mhm. Keep going. It's okay.
I didn't know if we froze, sorry. Yeah, so I had dabbled the idea of coaching for a long time. But I ended up connecting with my coach Shannon. And she's, really been teaching me a lot of things. I've really enjoyed working with the coaching clients. And I think that it's a lifelong, or not lifelong, yeah, it is a lifelong process of learning. And, I'm a lifelong student, so.
Path, isn't it? It really is like, and I'm self-educated in the sense of my spiritual development. And I believe, like we spoke about before too, we're so lucky in this time and space that we have this support of technology to be able to connect us to the people that are there to support us on the next step in our path. And it never ends. Like the work just keeps evolving just as we do, and it keeps unfolding the deeper we go. And that's magical that we get to keep doing that.
Yeah, it's funny that you said that, because I was just talking to a coaching client about this a few days ago. And she was really beating herself up. And she's like, I feel like I've done all this work. What does that mean? Like, what does it mean to do the work? We're always doing the work. And she said, and now, these other things are coming up. And I said, well, because you're ready. Like you're at a totally different place of consciousness that you were. So, you're ready to start working on some of these things head on.
Yeah, they're there for you to uncover. Beautiful.
For sure.
So the things that, as you spoke about, just from when you were a child, and the beautiful supports that obviously your parents put in place to be able to support you to be able to move through that. And from that experience alone, it's guided you to your path. Like if we really think about it in the big picture, those actions that they took for you to be supported as a child have paved this way forward. And I do believe that. I believe that the things that happen for us and then the choices we make to create change within those, they are like the breadcrumbs. They are the breadcrumbs that lead us closer to what our soul is really here to do and create and be. And I love that you have that memory even, or that feeling from 3 years old, that level of safety that you felt. Because some people can go through their entire lives and never feel that level of safety.
Yeah. That's the thing about, what I want to really create for my clients is safety, because, as women, and I mean, just being human, there's so many times that we don't feel safe. So it's beautiful if you, have more moments than not that you don't feel safe, and you have, someone that can create that space for you, or even model that.
Yeah, be the example alone is enough to create the inspiration and to give you a glimpse of the feeling of what it looks like to feel safe.
Yeah. I've really discovered that we have to create safety inside of ourselves. No one can create it for us.
100%. And when we look at the ancestral lines and the lineage, we've all come from a level of unsafety. You think about primitive times, like that was live or die, that was it. And those survival mechanisms are still ingrained within our DNA, and they get uncovered when we experience trauma, and it gets amplified. And then we can choose to dive deep into that, into the uncomfortable, and start to figure out why, like what's attached to this unsafety, this feeling of unsafety in my life, and how can I unhook or create a bridge between what was and what I actually want to create.
Definitely. And when I'm probably preaching to the choir with you, Erin, but when we do our healing or our work or, whatever the hell we want to call it, we heal 7 generations back and 7 generations ahead of us. So that's really beautiful that we can do that for our great, 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 great grandchildren.
And that is my biggest anchor of all. I facilitated at a retreat on the weekend, and I held space for 18 women through a womb healing. And when I spoke to the women, amazing. Like it's what I'm
going to come to one of your retreats. I'll just jump on a quick flight to Australia.
One day we can do that. And when I started to speak about the impact of what I feel I'm here to do in the work, whenever I speak about those lines and the lineage and the ancestral trauma, and I can feel it like bubbling in my heart right now, like that is what anchors me in to why I'm here and what I'm here to do. This just isn't about us. This isn't about us in this present moment or us in this lifetime. This is us in lifetimes before and those that are to come, and our children and our children's children, and the trauma and the torment that our grandparents went through. Like we actually have the opportunity to clear that, to heal that, and to clear that for those that are to come.
Especially with all the resources that are, we've had the resources for a long time, but I guess they're more mainstream now.
Yeah.
Or healing more.
Yeah, definitely. Thank goodness. It's bringing us back to natural ways of being. Like this is how we used to operate in ancient times. There was no other option apart from dealing with our shit.
Yeah. Going back to what you were saying about safety too, I work with, or, over with coaching clients, I've, just in general, historically, I've worked with people who have, PTSD or symptoms of that. And oftentimes there isn't a tangible threat, but our system perceives that there's a threat. So that, sends our nervous system into overdrive and, drains our adrenal glands. And, there's really that strong physiological effect of that. So healing that can really help our system too.
Absolutely. I'm such an example of that. When my marriage broke down, it was a breakdown of all things, like my nervous system, my health, my spirituality, like absolutely everything. And for most people, it does take that real hard point, like that rock bottom, to go, okay, from here now where? Like I'm as low can be. The only way is up. And what does that look like? And I know that when I started to, first it was the physical healing, like that's where I was led first, my diet and my health and my foundation for what my energy and my nervous system was receiving, my immune system, my digestive system, all that. And that probably took a couple of years to really piece through that alone. And then came in the spiritual work. And I know that when I started to do that, especially the feminine work, because a lot for me is anchored into.
That was a game changer for me too.
Oh,
4 years ago. Yeah.
The lightness in my body and the receptivity of my nervous system. Like, I'm a completely different person just because of that alone. Not having the reactivity to things, not feeling in threat all the time. It really took me from that victim to the victor of
I like that.
Yeah.
I say survivor, but I like victim to victor.
Yeah. It
amazing.
Makes such a difference to just the way we can be.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you. I thought my divorce was my, 2x4 to the face, but it wasn't.
That was more.
Later, nope, it wasn't. So 3 years after my divorce, I was diagnosed with melanoma, which is, a pretty serious cancer. And I said, if I get through this, I'm going to do some really deep fucking work, and I'm going to do it. And I have. But yeah, the spiritual work has been such a game changer, and it really felt like home when I started doing that, and meeting certain people and doing certain practices.
Yeah, I believe the spiritual work is like the reclamation of parts of self, because they were disconnected if we were feeling not ourselves, or living a life that isn't aligned with our values or our truth or our most authentic expression. Like, that's where the disconnect is. And as we choose to heal those parts of selves, we get to reclaim them, and then we get to be in that expression and that version of ourselves that we know ourselves to be in here underneath all this.
Yeah, I love that. That's one of the modalities I use is internal family system. And it's the idea of simplicity. So the inner child, firefighters, managers, it's a really great model.
And there's so many things that we can do. For myself, it's always been the intuitive pull, like what's next, and really opening up to see what's around me and what's available to me. And this is why one of the reasons I do these soul musings in this space is that one person alone cannot lead you to where you need to be, because we are multifaceted. There are so many parts of self that need to be met or healed or rebirthed or enlivened, whatever state that part of self is in. And the more that we can expose ourselves to other healers and other coaches and other women that are the example of that, and they are the permission piece for that.
Definitely. In my therapy business and in my coaching business, I always encourage, the clients I work with, when I feel that they're doing that really deeper level work, I always encourage them to do some kind of energy work as well.
Yeah. Oh, it's the holistic approach, right? We want the mind, we want the body, we want the soul, we want all of those parts of selves to be in their most brightest illuminated state.
Yeah. Or have a journaling practice or meditation, mindfulness practice of some kind, to really start implementing everything.
There's so much we can do just to open that space, create an invitation for self to come through. And that journaling, that had been a big one for me. Meditation and journaling, to be able to see myself and witness myself from a different space. And witness my thought patterns and my loops, and being like, oh wow, they aren't actually the driver here. Because for a long time, my thoughts were my driver. And they kept me in the same cycles.
Yeah.
But to be able to remove yourself from that and be the observer of what that looks like can give us so much insight into the areas that are really ready to be seen. And
really beautiful. We can do that because we, and like I said, I don't know about Australia, but in the US, there are people are just so reactive and, so reactive about everything. Not everybody, but there's a lot of people who are. So being able to, have someone teach you how to witness yourself, or, that's an option.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I would love for you to share a little bit around, we spoke a little bit about the inner child, but maybe some different facets of what you do within your work with people to help them to heal that wounding. Because as we spoke about before we came on, is I know that when we do those things and we really dive deep into the work, it helps us to be more intimate and connected in all of our relationships. And that is so, so important, because if we're not healing all those parts, then we're almost preventing or self-sabotaging ourselves from actually feeling that level of depth of connection with others.
So I can explain one of the modalities that I do. Would you want to role play with me? So I can.
Yeah, let's do that.
So you're my client. You're dealing with some intimacy issues with your partner, and it's a result of some unhealthy patterns in your family system. So we're having a session. So
what do I got to do? Like, what do I do now?
Maybe just talk about
okay.
Talk about something that you're experiencing.
Yeah, I can actually take myself back, so that will be even more.
Okay. Great.
Yeah. So I'm finding it really difficult to be able to allow myself to express what I really need in my relationship, and I feel like it is creating distance between us.
So you feel like there's a part of you that can't have a voice with your partner. Do you feel like that resonates with you?
Yeah, just not being, I feel and I hear what I want to say, but I don't feel like I can.
Yeah. Do you know how old the part is that feels like she can't have a voice?
Yeah, she's about 6.
Okay. So she's little. If you close your eyes for a minute, where do you feel that energy in your body?
Womb space, sacral.
Sacral. Okay. Is there a image associated with that part, a color, a shape, a sensation?
Like a heaviness.
A heaviness in your sacral. Is there any image attached to it?
Just myself as that age, as that little girl.
You can see her. Is she willing to tell you what keeps her from having a voice? What would happen if she did have a voice? What's her fear?
Not being acknowledged or heard.
Okay. Does your 6-year-old know your current age, Erin?
It doesn't feel like she does.
No? Can you tell her? Just let her know that you have a partner that really hears you and acknowledges you and validates you and loves you. What's happening?
It's like a self-nurturing, like from from self now and self at 6, and it's like the mother child. It's like, yeah, like self-mothering.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah. How do you feel towards her?
I feel a little bit responsible.
Okay. So you feel protective of her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you ask the part that feels responsible or protective of her to step aside for a moment? And we know that, that part's very important, but can you just ask that part to step aside for a moment?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They were willing to?
Mm-hmm.
Or the part was willing to? Great. Yeah. Does she need you to mother her?
No, she doesn't.
No.
Like, she's kind of like, yeah, it felt like she needed it to begin with, but then she
She's
was,
a little bit. Yeah.
yeah, but then she was reminded.
Is she happy?
Yeah.
I feel like I see a happy little
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So that's like
Mm.
small little snippet of what an IFS session would look like.
Mm. And what I observed during that is, because I've done that work and that healed part of self, what came through really strongly was the reasoning why the little girl, why my inner girl. So Dad passed away when I was that age,
Oh, so sorry.
of melanoma, which is interesting.
Wow.
And I know Mum was very absent, obviously. So consumed with her own grief of Dad's passing. And I know that had been a really big piece for me through my healing, was not feeling that love and that nurturing from Mum. But then by doing the work, and especially the inner child work, knowing that I could receive that from myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then to come to a deeper level of compassion for her and what she must have been experiencing during that time.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful when we can do that. I've
Mm.
had some other coaches ask me about this idea of forgiveness, and that our parents all screw up, and I just let them know it's not about that. It's beautiful if we can forgive our parents and move forward, but in some parent-child relationships, it's just not possible. It's too toxic to keep, so there are times it's not repairable.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But I think something where a mom's experiencing grief, of course you're going to have compassion and well, not of course, did the work to be able to do that.
I believe, though, that we can, around that forgiveness piece, if it's not possible to create that level of forgiveness with that person or that circumstance, that if we forgive ourselves.
Exactly. Yeah. Not everyone, and this is my belief, and there's so many different beliefs on forgiveness. Not everyone deserves our forgiveness.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It can be very healing if you can, but it's not something that we have to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just take responsibility for forgiveness of self and compassion for self. Like, I especially imagine, with the pieces around trauma as children, being able just to forgive yourself in the sense that you didn't call it, you didn't ask for it, you didn't any of those things, and to let that responsibility dissolve and just come to compassion.
Yeah.
Mm.
Beautiful when we can do that.
Yeah, I feel like we've got to get through some of the anger and the hurt and the pain before we can get there. And I think it's hard to expect ourselves to get there straight away. I know I was really hard on myself for years over certain parts of my healing journey that I wasn't just able to to get to that forgiveness, and to know that it's actually okay to feel the hurt and the pain and the anger and all the things too, as long as you are moving through it.
Right.
And not projecting it, and not, intertwining it into your relationships and whatnot.
Getting all the feels.
Yeah, it's normal to experience all of those emotions.
I saw this other coach put something up about this culture of like high vibe, and we always have to be positive. And she's a therapist herself, and was saying that's avoidance.
Yeah,
It's beautiful to be high vibe, but like we have to experience the dark. It's not just high vibe, positive.
Well, that's the duality of life, isn't it? Light and dark, masculine and feminine. Like,
yeah,
it's all there. And it's spiritual bypassing when we choose.
Yes. Yeah, it drives me nuts. Because I met a lot of people who I got something from them, but they really shoved down my throat this high vibe and, forgiveness, and forgiveness stuff with, with certain people. If they're still can't forgive them, that's not authentic. So just a trigger for me when people shove that down someone's throat.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, how unattainable for people if it's perceived to just be love and light.
Yeah.
Like, how do you expect people to get to love and light if they can't experience the darkness and the pain and the suffering? And move through it.
Right.
Because then 100%. It's not actually healed, then, is it? It's just skipped over. And then, I know this from experience, that we then beat up on ourselves why we're not at compassion, why we are not at love and light, because we hadn't dealt with the things. They're still resurfacing and re-triggering.
Yeah. I tell clients when they, start to should all over themselves, I should do this, I should do that. I just say you're experiencing exactly the exact emotion you should be experiencing in this moment.
Yeah. Full permission. All of it.
Yeah. Whatever you're feeling, as crazy as a part of you thinks it is, you're feeling whatever you need to feel in this moment, and you're allowed to.
Oh, yeah. What a beautiful permission. Because if we deny those parts of self that come through, there's the disconnect.
I've been, I'm very, I've been doing a lot of reading and research on shadow work, and it's, I something I'm new to. I've been doing IFS for a while, but it's so interesting to me.
Yeah. Yep. It's where the most light is. And it takes courage to dive into those shadows and to see parts of self that we may not like.
Definitely.
But it's needed.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, beautiful woman.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for this conversation. We were lucky enough to connect the other week and have a little bit of a phone conversation, and pick up this time. Being in different time zones is always fun. And it's just been so easy to converse with you and to go deep and to open up, and for you to be authentic and vulnerable in your sharing. So thank you so much for allowing us to see you.
Yeah. It's really nice spending some time with you via Zoom.
Amazing. Thank you, technology. I know you have a lot of women in this space at the moment. So they will be familiar with your work and whatnot, but I will put your details in the comments in this post in the group. So should the women feel the desire to reach out to you, to connect, to inquire around what you do, I know that you were so open for that.
Yeah. Feel free to, send me a Facebook request or a private message, whatever feels right to you.
Thank you, my darling. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. You too.
Sisters, please drop your comments or questions in the comments of this. and Kirsten will be able to see them because she is in our community.
Yes. Thank you, Erin. Have a good night. Bye.